Okay, I've left this a little bit late, so hopefully I can get some rambling in before people come home, but we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, no, so updating you on what's been going on in my head and all that kind of stuff. Where do we start? Since my last video, I have actually tried to make 2 videos. The first one got interrupted by people coming home. The second one, 3 things happened. One, I went into stuff that was a little bit too personal. It was like I tried to do a Midnight Musings video, which means I was a little bit out of it, I guess, and just like kept rambling for ages. And yeah, I went into some stuff that I wasn't sure I really wanted to share. I did consider making it patron only though, so I thought, you know what, I'll upload it and then I can watch it back in the morning and decide how bad it is and whether or not I make it public or patrons only. Yeah, so I thought, well, I've got to process it to make the file size smaller, because, the files that my phone makes are just so big, and it was a half-an-hour video, so it was almost 4 gigabytes, so, and because I'd already turned my computer off, I was like, I'll use my phone to do it, and my phone could get it down to about 2 gigabytes, so it got that processing going on. But then when I checked it back, it cut the end off the audio, so, my mouth is still moving, but you miss out on whatever I'm saying. And I was like, well, that's shit. And then, I tried to upload it overnight, and I don't know, some setting must have changed on my phone or whatever, but it only got up to about 30%, and when I checked in the morning, it was just stuck there. And, last time that I tried to just let it continue uploading, it eventually uploaded, but YouTube wouldn't play it back. So, it's a waste of time and waste of bandwidth and all that. And I was just like, well, I could, it's kind of like 3 strikes and you've got to be like, the universe does not want me to share this video. It covered things I didn't mean to cover. The processing fucked up, and then it didn't upload properly, and I was just like, well, I could go back and edit out the bits that I don't like, fix up the audio at the end, and then try and get it to upload properly, or I could just delete it. And I guess I rage quit. I was just like, fuck it, this video is in the bin. So those are the 2 videos that I tried to make. As for what they're about, wow, okay, let's rewind a bit and to my week of not YouTube binge watching. The first one was about that, I think. It was, just a sort of observation. Shit, I wrote it on Facebook what I was thinking about that. Maybe I just need to go back because I'm a little bit tired today. I didn't sleep well, which I'll get to in a moment. But let's see. Oh, wow, I write so much stuff on Facebook. But okay, so, oh yeah. Well, not watching YouTube for a week, what I noticed is it was actually really nice to just separate myself from all the politics and ideology that I was looking at, Just nice to get away from that. I think, I don't remember exactly what I mentioned in my video about going on that, banning myself kind of thing, but, I'm tired of the right-wing or right-leaning or centrist stuff that I've been watching. The left-leaning stuff I've got over a while ago, and all this stuff about free speech and whatever. I mean, there are issues that I'm concerned about, but when you look at the big picture, I can't do shit about it. All I'm just gonna worry about this stuff, and there's nothing I can do about it except make comments on social media and maybe influence a few people, and maybe that starts a bit of a chain reaction kind of thing, but probably not, because I'm not anyone. And I know what people could be like, oh, well, if you want to change something, you could get involved with a group, or you could lobby so-and-so. And, those are cute ideas, but, being the sort of, indecisive person that I am, the whole centrist thing, the whole trying to get more sides of the story, sometimes it's hard for me to work out what I even think. And then when I work out what I think, there are no groups that really reflect what I'm into. I could support one side or the other, but they're going to have a whole bunch of other policies that I think are total bullshit. And it's sort of like, well, now I've got to go through the process of weighing up how bad it is. What's the least bad option? And that kind of governs how I vote, I guess. What's the least bad option? And I also think about strategy in terms of like, well, this person's the most likely to get in, but I don't want them to have full control of both houses of government, so I'll vote the opposite in the other house, and hopefully that'll balance them out so they don't make dumb decisions like that. That's a simplification of how I vote. But when it comes to like any activist groups or political parties or people promoting something, it's just like everything seems like a terrible option, and all it does is make me stressed. And I can't give full support to anyone. There's no point protesting. Protests don't really achieve very much. You get a little bit of a blip on the news, and then what? If you're lucky, someone picks it up, but usually there's more of something else going on before anyone will actually do something that helps. So there's that. And then, like, writing to politicians. I've written to politicians, but unfortunately my local member just doesn't give a shit. And you always, even when they pass it on to, like, the relevant minister or whatever, you always get some generic response back, and it doesn't achieve anything, really. Or what, I put in a submission to some inquiry or whatever, and, one out of so many others, I don't know if it made an impact, and I don't think it did, and I'm kind of an atypical person anyway, so, I'm not representative of the bulk of the population, and a democracy is kind of geared to the bulk of the population. I mean, you get people making concessions for those of us weirdos who don't quite fit anywhere and who have mental health problems and whatever, and that's cool, but it's still a consensus kind of thing, and I'm just like, there's no space for me to participate in this stuff, not realistically, and I don't care enough. Like, I have this weird, I'm going way off topic now, but I have this weird, what would you call it? It's I have two kinds of ways of looking at the world. One of them is like that part of me that wishes society was that Disney kind of image that I was taught to believe in as a kid, like, or like the religious kind of thing, like everything has a purpose, God's got a plan, happily ever after, good things happen to good people and all that, kind of fairy tale view. There's part of me that wishes that, wasn't a big fat lie. And so that part of me is like, well, we should try and fix all these problems, let's make the world better. The other part of me is the part of me that's just been disappointed by the fact that the world isn't this fairy tale, and it's just like, fuck it all. Let's just like hurry up and start World War III and get North Korea and America to bomb us all into oblivion, because all of this is meaningless anyway, and, the world, if we care about stuff like the environment, the world will be better off without us, because, like, microbes have survived so many damn things. They've survived, the Earth being, like, a whole bunch of lava pits, and they've survived the Earth freezing over, and, they survive in places like Chernobyl, and, it just doesn't matter. We'll be gone, and sure, a whole bunch of other animals will be gone, but something will evolve to take its place, and then in the end, the sun's going to expand anyway, so fuck it, you can't do anything to fix everything. It's always going to just, like, fuck up anyway, so, why should I give a shit? I don't know, it's just like, I feel like the part of me that cares about the world is not helpful. It just makes me stressed because I can't do anything about it. And my opinions, some of my opinions are unpopular, so you can't really do anything about it there except complain. And, it's not achieving anything. Whereas this part of me is maybe not the most cheerful thing, or lovable thing about me, but it just makes it easier, I guess, in a way, and I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that little rant, but I'm frustrated with, this is where it was going. I'm frustrated with trying to care about all this stuff that I can't change, So, I mean, I'm still gonna have opinions, but I just need to not care so much, and I think that also means I need to just stay disconnected from this stuff. My life was different when I didn't know about a lot of social issues. I'm thinking about another thing right now, but there is something to that saying that ignorance is bliss. And yeah, and there's too many ways to look at different issues, and different sides have different points that are actually valid. They also have their own crazy points, and I don't know. I'm tired of trying to care. Well, I guess it's not even trying to care, it's that I care, but I'm tired of that, and I kind of just want to go back to being shit hey. And I don't think I really started to care about any of this until my most recent depression, and then, 2016 when I stopped working, and before I started back at uni, I was watching a lot of YouTube, and that's where I think I started to, become aware of some of this stuff, and it's just like, it's not good for my head. Anyway, I would much rather just go back to being interested in like science fiction and fantasy, and I think maybe it's too late because I've become so jaded that I look at those things and just go, those just tell me, those just sort of make it clear to me how mundane my life is and how shit this world is, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I can get back to proper, like, science fiction and fantasy the way that I used to. My own imagination's been deteriorating for ages, but that's another thing. I posted that one on Tumblr if you want to go check it out. But yeah, what else? So the second video, this is where I had a moment of optimism about my life. So, where do I start with that? Well, like, I got it in my head that maybe, you know how I've been annoyed that I don't want anything in particular in life? And like, if I don't want anything, it makes it really hard to motivate myself to do anything, really. If there was something I really wanted, then I would do whatever it takes, and it'd make everything a lot easier if I have some goal that I'm working towards. So if I needed to buy something to get this goal, it'd be easier for me to work to get money to buy the thing. Do you know what I mean? But I just haven't had anything I want in life, any particular goal, no purpose, and I've been trying to figure out, like, what do I want, but I don't have the same emotions that I used to. This past depression really killed something in me, like my ability to feel and all this kind of stuff. So, okay, that's the sort of background to that. Now, at the moment, I'm trying to find a band to join, and I think I made a video about this. I definitely made a Patreon post about this, about why I think I need to join a band. And a lot of that explanation was very practical, like, I'm sitting around at home a lot. I'm not doing very much. I'm not engaging with society. I'm kind of just not doing anything. So joining a band is like, you get out more, you've got people who are relying on you, which plays on my sense of duty, which means I would do things so that I don't let these people down. So it's like you're socializing, but you're also more motivated to do things so that you don't let people down. I don't know, going in circles probably. But, like practical things like that. Getting myself out of the house, getting myself doing something, getting myself active, getting back into music in a way that I can't just be like, I'll do it later. Like, if it's just me being a soloist, I can always just be, I'll do it tomorrow. But if I have a deadline, like, I have to learn this by next practice, then that's like a more tangible goal. I have to do the thing. It's playing on my psychology to get things done. So that's my sort of rationale behind being in a band. I've had this problem for a while where I'm not feeling music the way I used to. It's really frustrating. Like, music was sort of the last thing that I really had an emotional connection to that could move me even when I felt like flat. that I could really get into, but over the last, I don't know how long, that's been increasingly numb, and I haven't listened to much new music in ages. I'm finding it hard to get into new music. It all sounds like the same kind of stuff, and none of it makes me go, The only things that are really moving me these days seem to be like older music that I have a bit of nostalgia attached to, so that's frustrating. And yeah, so it's kind of complicated, because like music used to be the thing that I really, or at least that I thought I had some passion about, but now I don't really have that passion. But I've invested all this time and money and, bought all this stuff. I don't know if you can see my music stuff. Becoming better as a singer and a musician and learning to growl, even though I'm a small female. And, like, I've just, put so much of my life into it. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to do anything, and it used to have such a profound effect on me, it used to be so helpful. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm just having a dry spell, and if I get back into it, I don't know, maybe it'll help. It's just like I'm trying really hard to find things that will give me a spark again. But yeah, no, so I've been having that problem. Wanting to join a band, it's all for more practical reasons. And then there's this little hope that I can get back something resembling a soul, I don't know. But, so, that's all that. But I've noticed while I've been on this search for a band, every time, like, it's been really difficult this time because I'm not finding anything to even audition for. Never mind being rejected. In the past, I think I mentioned that being female worked against me because, some guys wouldn't even give you a chance. But I don't even have the chance to be rejected. I don't know, I'm not finding bands who need singers at the moment. There were a couple. One, like a guy knew someone and tried to get me, some attention in that, but they're like, oh no, we're looking for a dude. And then there was another one that I just was like, hey, long shot, but, and that one they just said, no, it's not the right style. My vocals aren't the right style. So that's the closest I've gotten. But no one's approaching me to join bands or anything. It's very different. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's very different to the first time that I tried to find a band. Like, I'm not even getting much contact. I don't even know where to look. I'm not seeing ads from bands wanting singers the way I used to. No auditions. Not even the time-wasting ones that just want to be like, oh yeah, let's just get the girl in, I'm probably not explaining it very well, but it's just been really frustrating. And then occasionally I've had some bands, and they've been like, hey, do you want to do a feature spot? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Like, I've got plenty of time. It's just that that's not me being in a band. That's just me helping out a band. So it's not quite getting me to my goals. And then occasionally I get individual musicians saying, do you want to do something or whatever? And I'm like, well, really, I'm looking for a band, but if you've got something, we could maybe look at making a band from scratch. But it's been a bit iffy, like communication hasn't been great. Sometimes they'll talk to you for a while and then go silent. Yeah, I don't know, musicians are wishy-washy types anyway, in general. But I seem to be only getting the wishy-washy types. So yeah, it's a little bit, it's been frustrating. And something I've been noticing about my emotions with regards to this is, like, if I touch on a lead, I think subconsciously I get a little bit excited. Like, I'm a little bit like, oh, I wonder if this will go somewhere. And then, we'll go through that whole thing of trying to communicate and it not working out so well. And then, it becomes obvious that nothing's going to happen with this. And then I seem to feel like kind of down and disappointed and grumpy. And I'll just spend ages on all the groups and chat boards, or what are they? There's Band Mix and these websites where you find band members, and I'll just scroll through a bunch of stuff and be like, oh, there's no one here and nothing new has happened. Go and look up a bunch of advice about how to find bands, and finding that most of the advice is crap. It's either stuff I'm already doing or it's not useful. Yeah, super frustrating, and it has negatively affected me emotionally. And then I was thinking about that, and I noticed that, in the past year, I mean, I did my solo stuff, but I had another project that I was hoping would get going last year, and it didn't. And I've been depression-free for about a year now, yay me. But anytime I have felt down, well, not anytime I have felt down, but a number of occasions where I've felt really down have been because that project didn't go anywhere when I was, kind of expecting it to. I mean, my Japan trip, I was thinking about that project when I was buying clothes, because I was like, I wonder if this would fit that project, maybe I should buy it. Getting kind of excited about it, and then nothing happened, and I kind of just had to admit that there's a chance nothing comes of it. I'm still hoping it picks up, but I can't rely on that anymore, and it just made me feel shit. So, long way of saying, but hey, you guys love my rambling, otherwise you wouldn't stick around 20 minutes in. The point being is I was looking at all these and going, well, I get disappointed anytime some kind of slightly promising music thing happens. If it doesn't work, I feel like shit. I'm like, this might happen now, and then it doesn't, and then I feel shit. And, I was like, oh, well, if I'm always disappointed when a music thing doesn't work, maybe music is what I want. Which makes a kind of sense, right? I must want it if I'm always disappointed when it doesn't go through. Okay, great. So then, that video I was going to make, I was going to talk about how I'm kind of excited about, maybe I found the thing that I want to do. And then also I've done some drawing. I just posted it on Patreon. Hang on, where is it? The other thing that video was going to be about was drawing this stuff. And I was thinking, oh, well, I've written about this on Patreon. You can go and have a look. But I was thinking, maybe this is my art thing. And I won't go into, why it's my art thing, because I've already done that on Patreon, and it's going to take up way too much time. I want to finish this before it gets to half an hour. But yeah, I was kind of excited that maybe I'd found my art thing. So I was making this midnight video where I'm like, I need to make this now while I still feel excited. And, did the whole thing about that, but also went on a gazillion tangents, kind of like I've done here, but into areas that I don't know that I really wanted to talk about. Happy, joy, right? But no, yesterday, I think it was when I was writing about that drawing, and it occurred to me, I was like, I've kind of done this style a little bit on and off over the years, so I, made the mistake of getting out all my old drawing books, there's 10 on the shelf, and looking at stuff that I did in the past, and, I did find stuff similar to that, prototype that, but I also found who I used to be in those books, and it's just, it's depressing shit. I've lost so much of my soul. I don't know, some of you guys have been following me for 10 years, more than 10 years by now, even. I'm sure some of you guys have probably noticed, the things that I talk about are different, the way that I act is different, there's a lot of stuff different about me, and I don't know how to explain it, especially if you haven't seen this about me, but there used to be so much more going on with me creatively, I think. God, I'll read this thing. I think is this the thing that I wrote on Tumblr as well? Yeah, okay, so this is what I wrote last night. Alright. Wow, just had a flip through my old sketchbooks going all the way back to 2005. There was a time when I used to do a page a day, and then it gradually dropped off. But what's most obvious to me is just how much of myself I've lost over the years. I already knew this had happened to me, but looking at what I used to draw just really highlights it all. In many ways, I was a lot crazier back then, but I had an imagination, and I had a proper impulse to be creative, and I had the ability to translate my internal struggles onto the page in earnest. By comparison, today I'm just a shell of that. I'm not even writing poetry the way I used to. Increasingly, the things I do often feel forced. And sure, every now and then I think about how I don't feel like whoever I was yesterday, but holy crap. I'm barely even a person at this point. I really do just feel like a meat robot. There's a massive gaping hole where my metaphorical soul used to be, and I just find that intensely disturbing. I'm not reading it the right way. I feel like I was a little bit more emotional when I wrote that, but I don't know. Maybe that was before I got really emotional. Anyway, so basically I've lost a huge chunk of myself, and I think that's had a big impact on, like, the fact that I don't really want anything. Like, intellectually, I want to be in a band because I think it would solve these problems in my life. But emotionally, I kind of don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about anything. I'm tired of existing, but I have to exist. So I've got to find things to fill that space without letting my health deteriorate too much, because when you don't have health, you feel even worse because your body is broken instead of just your mind. Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't have passion anymore, and I don't know how to get it back, and that's frustrating and upsetting in a way. I mean, right now I'm doing okay because I got over it, but last night, you know, after looking at what I've lost as a person, I was like, I don't believe in souls, but if I did, like, I've lost massive pieces of my soul. And, yeah, last night I looked up a couple of videos on how to find yourself after you've lost, and it's, like, not helpful advice, and probably made me feel worse, really. And I was looking at this like, ooh, I want to be in a band, and here I found my art kind of thing. And just going, nah, this is just more of that kind of false hope, you know? It's the same thing as every time I've started a new university course thinking, this is going to be the thing that fixes my life, and then it doesn't. And then I feel crap again, and I go back into a depression. I think this was kind of one of those things, is like, you know, music is the thing that's gonna fix my life. But I don't actually have the passion that I used to have. I used to really want this stuff, and that's why I worked so hard. Even started my own band, even though it wasn't quite what I wanted in the end. Like, I did it. I just don't care anymore. It's really difficult. I don't know what to do with that. And same thing with, you know, the art stuff. Like, this is the thing, this is my thing. I'm like, no, it's not really. I don't really care that much about it. I mean, I might do it just for something to do that is less stressful than doing something as detailed as this. Like, this was stressful to do because I was being a perfectionist. Yeah, so I don't know, we're getting up to 30 minutes and I've sort of lost my train of thought, but basically my second video was all optimistic, and then last night I had a shocker. I went to bed around about midnight, but then I had a bit of a meltdown, and, you know, I was still awake at 1, and it was just awful. And then I did fall asleep, which was good because it reset my brain, but I woke up around 4 because, you know, there was a storm not quite above our house, I think a little bit in the distance, but the dogs were upset about it. So, you know, Dave's away at the moment, so Marley decided to come in my room, and he made some noise, some whimper in his sleep, and that woke me up, and then Hope came in all like, there's a storm, and I had to comfort him. Like, he followed me to the bathroom. Usually when I go to the bathroom, he'll just stick his head in just to make sure I'm still there and then go off somewhere, but no, this time he came into the bathroom with me and was like, pat me, I'm scared, and, you know, oh my god, going to bed sometime after 1, falling asleep, and then waking up sometime after 4, and then, yes, I'm a bit of a mess today, and that's probably why I can't quite think straight. But yeah, I guess that's an update of where I'm at. So, you know, I came close to thinking I'd found some kind of meaning to my life, and then reality hit, and yeah, I had a really bad emotional sort of arg, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up, and now I'm doing okay. It's just like tired. Gotta do something with my day, and I don't know if there was anything else I was going to say, but I think we'll leave it at that. I need to get some tea or something so that I don't lie down. If I lie down and have a nap, it'll just make it hard for me to sleep. So I've got to try and stay awake. Oh, maybe I'll play some Age of Mythology. Turns out I really suck at it. Easy mode was a little bit too easy, but on medium I get my butt kicked, so maybe I'll go do that anyway, with some music in the background and, you know, try and remember how to play the game without sucking. But that's a whole other thing, and I'm just trailing off now, and I will see you guys whenever. Ciao for now.
I just figure the fewer the words, less crazy you are.